Boris Johnson defends his U-turn on face masks in schools. Meanwhile, another top official is sacked over the exams fiasco. We'll have the full details also tonight. Good evening. The Prime Minister has defended the decision to ask some school children in England to wear face coverings. It was announced last night that secondary school pupils should wear them in corridors and communal areas, but only in places subject to a local lockdown. Boris Johnson said the change in policy was in part based on the experience of Scottish students, while the Welsh Government this afternoon announced new recommendations for its secondary schools. Well, it comes as a senior official at the Department for Education was sacked following the problems with exams. More on that shortly, but first here's Ben Chapman on the masks U-turn. So whether children have to wear masks in schools is now very much a postcode lottery. In Scotland and Northern Ireland, all secondary pupils will be asked to wear them in communal areas between classes. In England, the same is true only in the local lockdown areas of Greater Manchester, Lancashire and West Yorkshire, plus Leicester, Luton and Northampton. In the rest of England, it is up to the discretion of head teachers. While this afternoon, Wales recommended masks for all secondary pupils, but stopped short of making them a requirement. Well, Wales correspondent. Well, let's get more now on the sacking of one of the top civil servants at the Department of Education. Our political correspondent. And we'll be reporting more on the return to schools and the impact of lockdown on children later in the programme. Scotland has recorded its first coronavirus-related death for 6 weeks. 2 people have been shot dead during a third night of violence in the US city of Kenosha. The unrest began after Jacob Blake, a black man, was left paralysed from the waist down after he was shot by police. Protests have spread to several cities, including Minneapolis, where George Floyd was killed. Well, in her speech to the Republican convention last night, First Lady Melania Trump called for unity, a warning that our Washington correspondent Robert Moore's report shows the moments before the shootings. The Girls Aloud singer Sarah Harding has revealed she's been diagnosed with breast cancer. The 38-year-old posted on social media that she recently discovered it had spread to other parts of her body. She says she is fighting hard to beat the disease, with her former bandmates among those sending messages of support. Martha Fairley has a story. Manchester United captain Harry Maguire has been granted a retrial after appealing his conviction for assault and attempted bribery in Greece. Here, Gatwick Airport has announced it's cutting nearly a quarter of its workforce after a collapse in passenger numbers during the pandemic. It means around 600 people are set to lose their jobs, while business editor Joel Hill. But first, the mental health charity Mind is launching an inquiry into the impact of the lockdown on young people who have been stuck at home and missed months of schooling. During lockdown, 2/3 of young people surveyed by Mind said their mental health had deteriorated, and nearly half had difficulty accessing support. Even before the pandemic, nearly 1 in 5 young people experiencing mental health issues dropped out of education because of the stigma, and there are now concerns about the long-term effects of the lockdown, as Stacey Foster reports. The Home Office says it will investigate the death of a woman whose body was found next to her malnourished baby in a flat in Glasgow. Now, during the lockdown, many people have been spending more time with their pets. Now, the Dogs Trust has warned that animals may struggle with being left alone again as many people return to work. Well, the charity says some dogs are already showing behavioural problems, and there are fears there could be a spike in pets being abandoned. With more, here's Neil Connery. Well, another bizarre conundrum of these extraordinary times is, how do you recognise someone if they're wearing a face mask? Well, it seems if you're one of the most famous people on the planet, Hollywood star Tom Cruise, you're still not hard to spot. And finally, expectant parents can spend weeks, even months, trying to come up with the perfect name for their child. Today, we found out the most popular choices from last year. Olivia was the top pick for girls for the 4th year running, followed by Amelia and Isla. For boys, Oliver has been #1 since 2013, and there was no change there, although George and Noah aren't far behind. Some less traditional names are also on the list, with popular culture having an influence on those who are due a baby, as Juliet Bremner reports. Oh, that is all for now. Tom is here in News at 10, but from me and all the team, have a great evening. Bye-bye.